What's up, Toonami faithful, and hello, greetings from MoMoCon in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am here once again with Bryce Papenbrook.
Hello, hello.
Hello, good to see you again, Bryce.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, exactly. He's become a regular.
Yes,
So
I have. That's awesome.
Might as well be part of the show now. I mean, what is this, our third go-around?
There we go. I think it might be.
Maybe. Okay, well, as you all know, Aaron, he's the voice of Aaron in Attack on Titan. We found that out way back in March at Anime Boston.
Yes.
And you've single-handedly taken over Toonami between Kirito, Aaron, and also Rin in Blue Exorcist. But the real question is, what else have you been up to?
I've been very busy. I mean, the stuff I can talk about, which was actually just announced last week. Another lead for me, I play Staz in a show called Blood Lad, which is an awesome show. It's short. There's only about 10 episodes in OVA, but a lot of fun and a great opportunity for me to explore my deeper range.
Mm-hmm. That's actually, I had totally forgotten about Blood Lad for some reason. I guess it got lost in the Sailor Moon Shuffle for some reason.
Oh, yes, yes, as things happen to do.
Exactly. So, speaking of Aaron, how was the audition for Aaron, being that it was out of your hometown of Los Angeles and you ventured into the Midwest in Dallas?
So, I got super lucky to even be able to audition for the show. Basically, I'm friends with Patrick Seitz, who has worked at Funimation a number of times.
The guy is like cloned himself, the way he's continually working between those two areas.
Seriously, he's awesome. And I had talked to Patrick at a con about the show because I was watching the show in Japanese.
Oh, cool.
Before I knew, if there was going to be an English dub or, if I would be anywhere near the show. And I was a fan of the show. So Patrick knew I liked the show and I wanted to be a part of it, even if I was just some guy that got eaten. I would have been happy to have been eaten by a Titan. And he shot me over the audition. He asked Mike McFarlane, the director, if it was all right that I read for him, and Mike was open to it. So I got to read. He sent out, the sides for a number of characters, and I decided to read for Aaron, Armin, and Levi. And ooh. Yeah, and I was super, surprised that he would put me in the lead role because, I'd never worked for them before. Mm-hmm. But I guess he had heard some of my other work, and based off of the intensity of the audition, he thought I could handle the part. I actually went out and bought soundproofing for my booth, more soundproofing, so I could scream and my neighbors wouldn't call the cops. I think they still heard me scream.
I mean, it is incredibly intense. Actually, more about that. Speaking of your screaming, we talked about breath control previously when we were talking with Sword Art, because when you look back on it, Kirito's screams are actually nice, clean. They have the same kind of progression, almost like a martial arts form or something like that.
Yeah.
With Aaron, it's a lot more rough, gravelly, animalistic, and stuff like that. Can you compare the two at all in like your progression and how your breath control worked with it?
I mean, I think you're totally right. The screams are very different, and Mike didn't want something clean for Aaron. He wanted something screechy, and he pushed me to the point where my voice would crack. Funny story about breath control. There was one scream in particular later in the show where Aaron gets stabbed with this piece of metal, and of course he doesn't pull it out this way, he goes the other way through it and screams the whole time. And right before that scene, we went out to lunch, and we went to a place called Muya Burger, and they make these giant burgers, and of course we opted for sweet potato fries, and we think, Mike and I can split a large fries, yeah. Little did we know it comes out on this huge tray. It's this giant mound of fries, which of course we finished. So we get back to the studio, and I go for the scream and don't make it. Go for the scream again and don't make it. I was so full of sweet potato fries that I physically could not get enough oxygen in my body. So there's a voice acting tip. Don't eat a mound of sweet potato fries before you have to scream.
So Another question about Mike. How different was it working with Mike as opposed to other directors at, say, Bang Zoom or wherever else you've worked?
You know, I felt right at home. It was really interesting. The commute was a lot longer. It was a bit further than fighting traffic in LA, you know, flying out to Dallas. But it was great. You know, I felt right at home, and, you know, right from the go, I felt comfortable. And, you know, I was very familiar with the show. I had watched the show twice before I started working on it. I mean, I watched the show to enjoy it, and then I watched the show to sort of study it even more and see what the Japanese seiyuu did. And then, you know, I knew sort of what I wanted to do for the character. And I think Mike's take on it was very similar to what I felt should be done.
Right.
And it was great. It just meshed, and it went great. I really enjoy what I've seen so far.
It's easy to see how you two gelled. Like, when you're on the same wavelength like that, real easy.
Yeah.
You know, there's no miscommunication or anything.
Yeah.
So, with you being in seemingly everything the last year, so what would you say is the reason for your great success in getting roles?
I have no idea. There's no answer for that. That's the great thing about this industry. You don't know where you're going to end up or what you're going to do or what the next job will be.
Right.
I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I think I've just sort of hit my stride. I definitely have a lot more to do as a voice actor. I'm still growing and learning things every time I step in the booth.
Right.
But I have no idea. I have no idea why things worked out like that, how I fell into, you know, these characters. It's just right place, right time. Everything sort of matched up. And, you know, also it might have been people saw that I could handle a lead.
Right.
You know, after playing Rin and Kita and Durarara,
Yeah.
and then Kirito, you know, people saw that I could handle that sort of role and those
Right.
sort of intensities and keep pace, you know, keep going to work and work hard every single time and be enthusiastic about it and excited about the shows, and which I am. I love doing this stuff. So it's hard to answer it, but I'm just happy it's happened.
Yeah,
and very thankful for it.
Incredible. Yes, indeed. Speaking of enthusiasm, I don't think I've seen anybody with as much enthusiasm as you for the stuff that not only that you're in, but also when it's made it to Toonami. And you've completed the treble, as they say in European soccer. So,
yes, that's
so. When it comes to being an ambassador for your show, does it help that, you know, does that influence your con schedule and how often you are at conventions and where you go?
You know, I don't know. Con schedules are totally random. Basically, the conventions invite me, and I check to see if it will work with my schedule, with what I have booked and what I have coming up. And if it does, and it sounds fun, you know, I go and I make the most out of every single con I go to, because I just love this stuff. It's so cool. I mentioned in another interview, when you're working as a voice actor, you have no idea what people are thinking when you do something. There's no applause. There's no laughter. And actually, it was Vic Mignogna who told me this at one of the first cons I went to. Right. When you do a stage play and you tell a joke, people laugh. When you tell a joke in anime, people laugh at a con. And you get to see that enjoyment and see that they've watched the show and taken something from it. So it's going to cons is like my applause. It's so cool.
I've actually never heard of it that way. That's actually something I'll have to steal at some point.
Please do, yeah. I stole it from Vic, so.
Yeah, everything everybody steals from everybody else.
There we go.
So, with all the stuff you're in, how do you manage to have time for not only conventions but other things like, you know, life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm busy. I'm busy, and I love being busy. I still work as a web designer and do that almost full time. I still train in Muay Thai. You might notice a little shiner right here. I got caught on Wednesday. A little uppercut got me. So.
Ooh. I didn't want to ask.
I think people have noticed it, but they're just like, I'm not sure if that's a shiner, if that's a makeup, or what he's trying to do here. But no, I got hit with an uppercut. Okay, someone got me.
Yeah.
I don't have 100 hours a week to dedicate to Muay Thai now, so I'm not as slick as I used to be. But yeah, I'm busy, but I just sort of make time. I have a lot of energy.
So, another question is, how was it to work on Pokemon Origins while knowing that the original series had been going on not only at the same time, but for as long as it has?
Incredible. I played Pokemon Red when I was a kid, and I watched Pokemon when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So I never thought I would be able to work on that show. But I think with Origins, because it took place at a different time, they wanted a different feel for the show.
Right.
So they wanted a different sound. And I mean, Red is not Ash in any way. So
Red actually goes out and does stuff.
he catches some Pokemon pretty quick in 4 episodes. I want them to make more of that. I like all those cutscenes, like at the beginning of each episode, where it's like Red did this, boom, 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 boom. Like that could be, each one of those could be an episode. But we'll have to see.
Since the voice actors are almost never in the booth together, how did you manage to create chemistry between you and Kirito and Asuna?
It's a lot about the director. Alex Von David is the director of Sword Art, and he wanted us to play it very real. And he was very focused on having it sound genuine and real. And he wasn't afraid to have us do 100 takes of something if we needed to. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that many. But there were definitely times where he had an idea of what he wanted and would make sure to get it. Actually, I had met Cherami while recording. I hadn't met her before we started. It was just sort of in passing. And it wasn't until conventions that we got to hang out with each other. And since then, we've become friends. And hung out outside of conventions.
Right.
So, yeah, it's crazy when you watch it and then you think, we never had met each other when we did this scene.
Right.
And I think Alex did a great job getting that performance out of us.
Right. So, big news late last year was Sword Art Online 2 got announced.
Yes.
And it's considering how well it's doing for Aniplex, I'm pretty much assuming it's going to be a lock for not only localization but also a dub. So
I hope so.
I hope so too. I mean, you are Kirito in English.
Yeah, so. They don't tell us anything because they know voice actors like to talk.
Yeah.
So they assume if they tell us a secret, we're going to talk about it. So they just don't tell us anything. Right. But I hope so. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to watch it and hopefully work on it.
Right. The question co-opting off of that is, what do you think the challenges will be when you return to Kirito?
Well, first off, is he a girl or a guy in this next one?
That's for those of you who have seen the concept art out there. I caught a glimpse. I haven't seen too much, but yes, I have caught a glimpse, and androgyne Kirito.
Because that could be a challenge.
Yes.
If it's me, I don't even know if he has a female voice that's genuinely female. Will they cast me to play Miss Kirito? I don't know. But I'm not sure. I'll have to wait and see how intense the show is, and but I think I'll be able to get back into that character. I'll probably go back and watch the first season again, just to sort of remember the way I've said things. One real challenge that's occurred to me recently, because of so many characters that are so similar to each other, I've really gone out of my way to try to make them different. Because I did not want Aaron to sound like Rin in Blue Exorcist. I did not want them to sound the same. Because, if you watch Attack on Titan at 11:30 and then Blue Exorcist at 2, you're just like, it's just Rin talking to Titans. What is this? So I really did make sure I was in a different place vocally, and even speech patterns. I went out of my way to go back and check what I did in Blue Exorcist and change that as Aaron. So hopefully if someone didn't tell you at first, this is Bryce Papenbrook as Aaron and Rin, you wouldn't put it together right away.
And I guess we can include Kirito by extension.
Of course, yes. And Kirito also, yeah, I didn't want Aaron to sound like Kirito.
Yeah.
And I don't think he does.
I don't think so. I'm going to be completely honest here. We talked in our first interview last year about how similar Rin and Kirito have sounded. I've had a chance to listen to both, and I can see where you were coming from, where your audio engineer was going, Rin.
Yeah.
But I think I was like, wait a minute, is that Bryce? And that also extends to other work that you've done. The one thing that comes to mind for me is Danganronpa on PS Vita.
Yes.
So I was like, wait a minute, is that Bryce? So,
that's awesome. See, yeah, I've really tried to find different places, even though those characters are so close to each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, age range, not necessarily personality, not necessarily, vocally, they should be different, but it's interesting trying to switch it up and still sound human.
Right. Well, I believe that's about all the time we have. So, Bryce, is there anything that you would like to plug before we get out of here?
Toonami. Keep watching Toonami.
Of course.
Toonami faithful, you guys are awesome.
We try our best.
Excited for more No Sleep Saturdays.
Only way to describe it. I would like to thank Bryce Papenbrook, a good friend of ours.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir, and we will be catching you in just a few. Hello, Toonami faithful. We are back at MoMoCon once again, and this time we have got the other half of Kirito and Asuna from Sword Art Online in Cherami Leigh.
Yes, I play Kirito. Just kidding. Asuna.
And this is actually the third time we've had you on the show. The first time actually was Anime Boston last year, but that audio ended up being unusable.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, and when we had you on the really late night thing, I don't know.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, and now we got you again, this time on camera.
Definitely.
Yay. I remember you talking at Anime Boston last year that you had some on-camera work lined up, and what have you been doing other than voiceover, if it includes that?
Earlier this year, I shot a feature film in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I was there for a month, and it actually has a companion docuseries with The Chair that will be on Stars from the people that did Project Greenlight. So they're making 2 films based on the same script with 2 different directors competing for, I guess, who's going to win the best director. And we made a crazy comedy, American Pie style, Mean Girls kind of movie. A lot of crazy things happened to me in that. So that was fun. I worked with Shane Dawson and Lisa Schwartz and Drew Monson and a couple of other YouTube people, which was great. Shane was also the director. And I have a film, an animated film with Sean Astin and Tim Curry and Russell Peters coming out. I think it's September later this year, called Ribbit, and I play Sandy, who is a flying squirrel, oddly enough. And then I have another feature film, Beyond the Farthest Star, that I shot years ago, but that should be coming out later this year as well, in the fall. I think The Chair is supposed to be like September, November. So everything's supposed to be coming out around September, November, December, somewhere in that.
In other words, Oscar season. So.
Yeah, I mean, none of it would be considered for that. They're crazy films, but I mean, sure, why not? I'd be all for it. But yeah, I've been doing some of that stuff. I'll be working on a play that my husband wrote and is directing, based on holidays, and it's a murder mystery. And so I will be playing Halloween, which is going to be something. I have a lot of crazy costumes that I have to wear. So yeah, we'll be working on that, and I think we'll be launching the Kickstarter so everybody can check that out and see what's going on with all of our crazy holiday selves.
Actually, speaking of travel, you're in California now. You've made the jump from Texas to California.
Yeah.
And so you still managed to do work for Funimation, though, because you are still doing Fairy Tail, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. I will actually be going back to Texas next week to do more.
Nice. Does your heavy convention travel help with getting to Texas for voiceover sessions?
It did last year. This year, I've been really bad about planning things ahead of time because I mean, technically this convention and then I have a convention next weekend. I haven't done many conventions this year. I think this is my second convention of the year, second or third. So it's been there hasn't been a lot of conventions going on. So I'm excited to get back into the swing of things because I've missed coming to conventions. Last year, there was a stretch where I did like 12 or 13 conventions in 11 weeks. So that was nuts. Wow. It was fun, though. Like, everyone was like, "Are you dead?" I'm like, "No, I'm still good. I want a nap, but I'm having fun." So, but yeah, I haven't done that many this year. That would be very helpful as far as getting back to Texas. This year I shot the film, and then I got married, so that took out a big chunk of time. So
yeah, I think that's about as good an excuse as any.
Yeah, I was a little crazy with other things.
Yep. Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of other things, you've also been on Toonami recently. Sword Art Online completed its run a few months ago.
I'm so sorry. It's so sad it's gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully there's
Maybe
Sword Art Online
more.
too. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But speaking of Sword Art and your character Asuna, unfortunate things happened to Asuna over the course of the series. How did you manage that as an actress?
Not happily. I mean, I had seen the full series, and I watched it. I had actually seen the full series before I got cast, or I maybe had like 3 or 4 episodes that I watched after I got cast and finished it up, but I'd seen most of it. So it's a different situation when you're watching it just as a viewer, and then when you go back and watch it again and you have to get in the headspace of, wait, this is me now. There were a couple of moments where I was like, okay, this is all too real and horrible, and Todd Haberkorn does a great job being a horrible villain that I don't like. And they played me a couple of the scenes that he did. And Todd and I have worked together on so many things. He's a wonderful person. I love him dearly. But he made me so mad. I was like so grossed out by him. I was like, I saw him at a convention later. I was like, I can't look at you right now. I heard you yesterday, and I just can't look at you right now. It's so gross. But yeah, no, he was gross. And then Vic came up to me, and Vic makes a little cameo appearance, I believe, as one of the tentacle monsters.
Yeah.
So I saw him early on, and he'd said, "Oh yeah, I just worked on Sword Art Online." And I said, "Well, what'd you play?" And he said, "Oh, you'll see." And I was like, I don't like the sound of that. And then when I was watching it back, I'm like, ugh,
Squick.
so gross. But the acting portion of Asuna being terrified or grossed out was not hard to do because the actors, the male actors, really nailed their work. All I had to do was kind of react and be a little grossed out. And a lot grossed out is actually more accurate. But yeah, some rough things happened to her.
Yeah, indeed. So actually, bridging from one Sword Art Online question for another, we asked this earlier of Bryce, but we wanted to get your perspective on it as well. Since voice actors are rarely, if ever, in the booth together, how did you manage to create the chemistry between Asuna and Kirito?
We had an awesome director. I honestly had never met Bryce and never worked with Bryce before. The first time I met Bryce, we were probably halfway through the series, and he was coming out of a session, and I was going into a session, and he was on his way to another session, and I had to get into the booth because I was coming from another session. So it was like, "Hey, I'm Bryce. I play Kirito. Oh, I'm Cherami. I'm playing Asuna. Okay, bye." So like that was how that worked out. But since going to conventions, Bryce and I, apparently we had a fan tell us that we're brother and sister rather aggressively. And when I said, "No, we're not really brother and sister," she yelled at me. So Bryce and I apparently get along like brother and sister, which is great. But I mean, we just laid down our track, and sometimes Bryce would be in and I could react to him, and vice versa. But if that was not the case, then Alex would know, this is how I want Bryce to deliver this line. This is how I want Cherami to deliver this line. And I guess they just have to hope, and we have to hope that everybody thinks that there's some chemistry happening. So it's a little different than when it's on camera and you have to do chemistry tests and things like that. So
yeah, well, you have somebody to play off of as well.
Exactly.
So recently, I believe last winter, they also announced Sword Art Online 2, a sequel to that, and hopefully you and Bryce get to return to your respective roles.
Hopefully. And if not, we'll just switch, because Bryce is so nervous that Kirito is going to be a woman. And I said, that's okay, Bryce. Then you'll play Asuna and I'll play Kirito.
Hey, you get to work on range.
Yeah, it'll be great.
So, if it does happen, what do you think the challenges will be when you return to Asuna after so much time away?
One of the challenges will be keeping a straight face and keeping the like blooper reel down to a minimum to actually get the show produced. Because I had so much fun recording that show, and now hanging out with Bryce at as many conventions as I have. We all know each other now, so it's less of a, I don't know who I'm working with or how this is going to go. We know exactly who we're working with, so it'll be like a family vibe all over again. I don't think it's going to be, I just love her so dearly, and I've been very fortunate to play a lot of characters that have a lot of integrity, and so that'll be very easy to slide right in there. I think the way that the show was written, all of her responses to things are very basic human nature responses, and she's very driven by love and a little bit of a competitive spirit, so like a lot of a competitive spirit, which I completely can relate to that. So I don't think it's going to be, it'll be, the first couple episodes will probably be a bit of an adjustment, just how it is with any show getting back into after you've had any sort of a hiatus. But we would be more than ecstatic to do it.
Apparently you've had experience as a DJ with Radio Disney.
Yeah.
So
that was awesome.
Yeah, so how did you parlay that into voiceover experience, or how did your experience as a DJ work into that?
The opportunity to be a DJ honestly just fell into my lap. I have been doing promo work for the station and doing all of their imaging and promos and grand prize stuff, anything that you can hear on the commercial breaks. I started working with them when I was 9.
Wow.
And then when I was, I guess, 18 or 19, I just got called into the office and they said, here's the VP of Radio Disney. He flew in from LA. And I said, am I getting fired? Like, did you call me in here to, like, fire me? And they said, no, we wanted to know if you wanted to have your own show on Saturday and Sunday from 8 to midnight. And I was completely blown away by the opportunity. That is not something that happens, that I've never had any live radio experience, and they're going to train me and then give me my own show on a national, like, scale.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I did. I learned to run the board and edit my own bits and take the calls and play all the network spots and get all that stuff in there. And 15 to 30 seconds is a very long time, and I would not have thought that if I hadn't worked live radio. But it's great. It definitely helped with improv qualities and things like that. And I was just getting into working at Funimation while I was doing Radio Disney, and I was going to college. So that was a crazy busy time in my life, but it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Well, it seems to me that Radio Disney is a little bit of a pipeline for talent, given Kyle A. Bear came from the same background, too.
Yeah, and Kara Edwards as well.
Oh, yeah, I was not aware.
Yeah, no, I totally didn't think about that. Kara actually, she's going to get so mad that I said this. She directed me into one of my kid sessions for a while, because I would listen to her and Kyle all the time on the air. They were like one of my favorite radio shows, because they had such great chemistry and they were so fun.
Nice. So what kind of work would you like to see, do you like to see yourself doing in the future beyond voiceover and anything else, beyond camera?
Absolutely. I would love to do more films and more TV stuff. I worked on a couple of TV shows and did some guest appearances last year on like Shameless and Bones and Longmire, which was fun. And so I would love to keep doing stuff like that. I would love to do more feature films, and I want to write some stuff and produce my own projects as well. So that will probably be something that I'll force myself to get done to do.
What is, actually co-opting off of that, what would your dream project be when it came down to writing or producing or even directing?
I love historical fiction type stuff, and I love magic and all of the like different realms and different dimensions. One of my favorite movies was the Da Vinci Code, just because there's a history of the art mixed with all of these theories of what could be behind it. So to do a film like that and kind of have like a national treasure thriller kind of vibe where I'm like going through all these exotic countries and trying to figure out all these like hidden secrets of the past, and if there's magic involved, so be it. But yeah, I would love to do something like that, because that's the kind of stuff that I like. I love like researching. I love the library. So if there's a scene, a huge montage with a lot of books, and finding out things that could change the world, awesome. That would be excitingly fantastic.
Okay, well, that's about what we've got for Cherami today. Is there anything that you would like to plug before we get out of here?
I don't think I can talk about anything other than like Fairy Tale's still coming out. And I'll post some stuff about the films and other things coming up and new projects that I can't share right this very second, but I'm super excited to in the next couple of months, hopefully. The films are, there's a film that's untitled right now. It's the untitled Shane Dawson movie. And there's a film called Ribbit, and another film called Beyond the Farthest Star, and then the play Happy New Year. So
nice. So I assume they can also find you on the interwebs as well.
On the interwebs. I'm on Twitter at Cherami Leigh, and on Facebook you can just Google Cherami Leigh, and that is me.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for coming on to the show once again, Cherami.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me.
So we have a couple of trebles. We had Bryce with his treble of Toonami stuff, and then we also had Cherami as well. I mean,
sweet.
Rule of threes. We have to have another three in there someplace. I don't know how.
Totally.
So until the, all right, so that's about all we got for today for us here at MoMoCon, the Toonami Faithful Podcast, and we will be seeing you guys sometime soon.
Bye.
We will start from that side.
My name is Johnny Ray, and I'm an editor for Toonami.
My name is Dana Swanson, and I am the voice of Sarah on Toonami.
My name is Jason DeMarco, and I'm the co-creator of Toonami.
I'm Gil Austin, and I write for Toonami.
I'm Sarah Hardy, and I'm an editor for Toonami.
I think Toonami's had a pretty big year. I would say that Toonami's changed in that we have more premieres than ever. We've had world premieres, and we'll be having more world premieres in Dandy. We have a really good, right now anyway, a really good balance of new shows and some older shows, a good balance of anime and just American action. So for me, what's changed is we're kind of getting more to the place of the ideal Toonami that we would like to see, that the one that's in our heads that we can't usually afford to make. And I also feel like Gil in particular has made sure that we have had something new almost every single week, 52 weeks a year, which is a bigger challenge than I think anyone who doesn't work in TV could really understand, but it's a big one. And the fact that we've been able to do all that and then still do all of our other work, I think, I don't know how we're doing it. So what do you think, Gil?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's changed. I mean, obviously grown and increased, but I mean, it just feels like, to Jason's point, that we're progressing along where we would like to be, and we're still probably not all the way there, but we're feels good. Keep going. Reaching for the stars.
Well, I have to say, the scripts don't usually always look like what the show ends up being. So, because with Space Dandy, they allow the directors to have a pretty strong voice in each episode, and that's part of how they do it, which is why each episode has such a different feel and look. So I've read about half of the season that we're seeing, but we have not seen any actual moving video yet, so I don't quite know what the hell it's going to be. But if it's anything like the first season, which I'm, so far it seems that it will be, I'm very happy as a fan and as a person who needs it to do well and be good. They send us the scripts translated, and then they will send us the dub, well in advance. Funimation have been great partners, and they're working really far ahead so that they can make sure these deliveries happen on time. So we get plenty of time to look at Dandy episodes in advance, which is unusual, to be honest. Well, we did announce Kai's coming back, and it was a show we had wanted since Toonami came back. I mean, we definitely want to keep Toonami moving forward, but at the same time, we need some shows like Bleach, like One Piece, like Naruto, like DBZ that are big popular titles that lots of people will tune in to watch, because they allow us to Trojan horse shows like Black Lagoon in, which, even though in the anime community everybody knows about Black Lagoon, but we are broadcasting to just people, just humans, and I think sometimes the anime community forgets that. We want as many people to watch as humanly possible, and for us, DBZ, any iteration of DBZ is a window into animation and anime for so many people, and still a show people loved when they grew up and love now. So we have always hoped we could get it back. So I personally am really ecstatic and happy to be able to finally say that we're bringing it. Yeah. What do you guys think? Take it away, guys. Wow. DBZ Kai, you cut 1 million DBZ promos, Johnny.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited DBZ's coming back, just because that was like our big break, really, DBZ. That was the thing that really caught everybody's attention, including Cartoon Network's attention once that hit. And it was kind of, I think DBZ kind of got us where we are, man. But it'd be just like old times. I'm pumped. Start playing GoldenEye again. 1080.
Yeah, when we were doing a lot of our original stuff with DBZ, Toonami was not even in a Turner-related building. We were in basically what's now a film studio in Atlanta, and it was Johnny and I would work at night part-time, so we'd be up at like 3 in the morning and cutting stuff, and then if we got there early enough, we would play video games with everybody else, and GoldenEye was our big game, so yeah.
So is it kind of similar to that now, because you don't get paid for Toonami, so you're kind of similar to that?
Yeah, it's less. Yeah,
We've come around full circle.
Here's the thing: we were getting paid then, so if we were there at 3 a.m., at least we were like, well, money. My wife and child would be benefiting. Now it's just for the love. But I would say that we probably have just as much fun now, if not more, because we're just doing it because we want to.
Yeah.
Instead of the Nintendo 64, it's Xbox One. So
yeah.
We've gone there.
Yeah, right now it's Titanfall. Gil and I trying to play Titanfall, Well, I'll have Gil answer this too. I'm really proud of the teaser because I think the CGI looks gorgeous, and I think when we post the video and people can take a look, they'll agree. I'm excited because I had a lot of fun doing Intruder and Lockdown and Trapped in Hyperspace and telling stories in that Tom universe. And the idea that we're getting to tell another one so many years later just boggles my mind. So I'm really excited to I have had some ideas that are going to be in this that have been in my head for a decade, sort of half-formed ideas that Gil and I are honing down to make into some coherent story. But I'm just excited to be able to revisit Intruder and pay off something from 11 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that people still really care is awesome, and that we can tell another story and tell a longer story and hopefully have somebody pay for it. And it's just great. And I mean, what we can do now from a technological standpoint is so far and above where we were when we were doing the total immersion events before, that it's just going to be fun to tell an amazing visual story. Not that those weren't at the time, but they don't really test. They don't hold up quite as well as you would hope. But it's going to look great, and hopefully people are excited for the story, and it should be fun. And it's also going to allow us to do bigger things than we would be able to do otherwise, because we can roll it into that giant Katamari ball and roll it down the hill. So
Yeah, I think the fan involvement for even just getting Intruder 2 made has been awesome, and just that ability to see people not just excited about Toonami, but like, oh, Toonami can do something new and that is original, and just the even people hashtagging it everywhere. There's still people that are still doing Intruder 2 every week. Like they want it so badly. Seeing that fervor has been really, really cool, I think. Yeah. And also the color red. There's lots of use of the color red in that trailer, and that is new.
Well, I think everybody can take this in turn. I'll just say, for my part, I was awed that he would want his wish to be to come hang out with us, and we took that very seriously, because somebody who, you know, he's as brave as he is and as amazing as a person as he is, he deserved us to give him the most that we could. So our focus in leading up to him coming was just to make sure that the day we gave him would be a memorable day, and, you know, up to the standards of what, if somebody was making their wish to come hang out with us, what we thought that should be. And hanging out with him, he's just an amazing dude. He's really cool. He knows his stuff. He's an old school fan. He's particularly a music fan. And I had a great time hanging out with him. It was just a lot of fun to be able to hang out with. You know, we don't interact with fans that often in the real world. And seeing a fan that Toonami's meant so much to just helps remind you, not that I needed reminding, but helps remind you, like, why we're doing this and what ultimately we hope to achieve by putting things out into the world. It's to help people that have had bad moments or bad times, and, you know, so for me it was very profound personally. Gil said he didn't like it.
Yeah, Matt's great. I mean, he's so funny and smart, and was just so interested in not just sort of seeing things, but doing things too. So it was just fun to take through that day. So we had him direct Dana in her VO read, had him direct Steve in his VO read, and he was just really funny. I'll let Dana talk about her session stuff, and then we just made as much stuff as we could. We just don't have that many things, so it was like, oh, and this poster, and we'll have this other piece.
You did get a cool maquette, though.
Yeah, and so he got one of the ones that we gave away today. But yeah, Matt's great.
Yeah, I was more than, like, I jumped at the chance to be able to do anything with him, and as somebody who's been through something close to what Make-A-Wish does, and had sort of a this is hard to say because I have not been in his shoes, but I had a very big soft spot for him and what he was going through, and he was just so chill and so funny, and just like he just couldn't believe that he was where he was. Getting to meet everybody, and at the same time he just fit right in. Like, he was just a total natural, and getting to work with him doing VO, like he would push me if he wanted to, and I was like totally into that. I was like, all right, cool, let's do it, man. And he was just like just happy to get to do it, and really just embracing the opportunity, embracing the chance, and so grateful. And again, just he did absolutely fit right in, and I couldn't imagine what his day-to-day life was, and I think we tried, all of us tried our best to make that as the best possible day for him, and give it and have a break from all that, because it's awful. Like, when you're going through what he's going through, like, I can't fully imagine. I have some understanding, but it's exhausting, and to have a day where you're not having to think about any of that, and you're getting to, like, feel like what it would be like to do something that I hope he gets to do one day, like that rules.
I got to hang out with him for a little over an hour, and it was really neat because he actually wants to be an editor, and so it just really was cool to hang out with someone who wanted to do exactly what you do. And he just, asked me questions, and we just talked about editing and all kinds of stuff. And so it was just neat to be on that level with someone who truly understands what I do, and he's made things. And afterwards, he sent me a promo he wanted tips on how to edit. But he was a great guy. It was a lot of fun and very humbling that someone would want, like, that's their wish, is to meet our humble crew. So it was amazing.
Yeah, being here as well and meeting folks like Matt, you forget how much of an impact Toonami has on folks, which is because we don't know our day-to-day thing. We don't really think about it, but when those things come in your face, it's amazing, So, yeah, it's amazing that he wanted to come hang out with us. And, yeah, he spent time with each of us, so he came and hung out in my edit suite for a while and, showed him some promos. And we talked about them, and we talked a lot about video games and things like that, and just hung out, It was cool. He's a real good guy. It was a powerful day, really.
He was super pumped to meet Johnny and Sarah and sit with you guys. He was like, "That's gonna be the best." He was ready to go, man.
Was he a big fan of, like, the Dreams promo? Did he ask, like, 20 million questions about it?
Which one?
The Dreams promo.
No, he didn't. I didn't really ask questions about it. I mean, he wanted to know a little bit of insight on it, but he wasn't really grilling me. I don't know. He was just hanging out. He was just chill. It was cool.
No. Yeah, your April Fool's stunt was funny, but I would ask that if you do that again, you make it real clear in the headline that it's a joke, because I got a lot of angry communication personally, which it wasn't obvious. I knew that you guys always intended it as a joke, and if anyone actually read the thing, it was obvious that it was a joke. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people that just read headlines in the world, and they just thought it was real. Plus, they also take you guys seriously, as the fandom takes you guys seriously, as well they should. So I don't think they thought you guys would do that joke. So thanks a lot. Yeah. But no, it happened to be a joke that turned out to be true. So next time if you make a joke, it's going to have even more weight, because they're going to be like, well, last time they said it was a joke, but then it came true. In the words of the great Jason DeMarco, way to go. Way to go. Yeah, do fairy tale, and yeah. Well, we for us, it's a great MoMoCon is a great opportunity to meet fans face to face that we never get to see in the flesh, and it's a very positive experience. We always have a blast. We actually got to hang out this time and do some signings and talk to people face to face, and just it's a good reminder of sort of the positivity that what we're doing can generate in the world, and it's something that we carry with us for the rest of the year when we have long hard days and Dana's tired, or Gil's tired, or Sarah's tired, or Johnny's tired, or I'm tired, and we don't want to do that next week's thing. We just want to take a break. We don't want to post something on the Tumblr. We just want to relax and eat potato chips and be lazy. It's doing things like MoMoCon that help us remember why we keep going. And so for us, it's amazing. That's for me anyway. I'll let these guys.
Yeah, it's just a realization that people do care, and it does have an impact.
You really like us.
They do care. Because, we're just working the day-to-day, just making the stuff, and we don't dwell on it too much because we got something else to make, so we just constantly just moving forward and just hoping people are into it. So it's just great to hear that people are into it in a way that affects them deeply, I don't know. It's just makes it all personal,
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is really, it's awesome and invigorating to be somewhere like MoMoCon and be able to see people face to face and hear about what it is that happens, and that they're you see it on Twitter, but actually meeting somebody and them telling you your story, or just being involved and cheering and being jazzed is cool. It's also nice to see that this thing that we do every week that maybe we just see in a computer monitor, or you just see in a little QuickTime thing as you're trying to approve whatever it is you're doing, or just seeing as a script, actually seeing all that come together and the receiving end of it is why places like MoMoCon are so cool. You see that process of people live seeing either an open or a trailer or something that we're doing. Like, that instant reaction is so cool and so rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, MoMoCon's just been great. It's always nice to see that people do care. It's totally mind-boggling and doesn't seem real in any way that people care as much as they do, but it's so great that they do, and we totally take that very seriously, and it's just a good boost to keep kicking ass and keep going out there and trying to make it better.
I don't know how I can improve on what everybody else has said, but it's just awesome. I love meeting people and having people say that the stuff that we do has had an impact on them or anything. I mean, I love what I do, and I love who I work with, and just the fact that people like what we do is just the icing on the cake. So we'll see you next year.
You said you couldn't improve.
Thank you.
Start recording.
All cameras get rolling. We have focus.
Can you look and see if I'm in the shot?
You are in the shot.
Okay. Everybody see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody? Yeah. Camera slate. Multi-camera slate.